Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. We fight our country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom.
On this episode of Cigars and Sea Stories, Ben and Mike sit down to discuss, well, we're going to discuss a lot of stuff, but we kind of wanted to start off in lieu of all of these recent events with Marines United and pick sharing and all of these other different things. From our perspective, from our point of view, and I would like to talk to Mike's point of view, I believe that what we're talking about out there in regard to the pick sharing, you know, that conversation or debate is something for another time. I would like to focus on the predatory nature of these things and just say, hey, I personally condemn the actions that take place out in real life, not on social media, the predatory actions like stalking and peeping and rape. I condemn those actions, and you cannot be a Marine who does those actions against another Marine and still call yourself a Marine. You can't do that. So that's my opinion and where I'm coming from on all of this. But it needs to come out of the whole social media talk, and we need to talk about what happens in real life, like in physical form.
Yeah, I parrot your concern and I agreeance with your stance, especially as the father of daughters. I know that it would be devastating, and frankly, I'm a little disappointed with some of the opinions out there that are really victim blaming. There's exceptions to every rule, folks. I understand. We all know that. Okay. But at the end of the day, the outrage shouldn't be about those exceptions. The outrage should be about the rule, which is predatory shit, whether it's rape culture or peeping or taking unsolicited, pictures that aren't supposed to, or even a woman that sends you a picture in confidence. Now, folks, we know the difference. Let's not be fucking retarded. You know the difference.
Sure.
So stop defending. Just stop defending the bullshit. The bullshit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, then, yeah.
And if you want to, I just don't get it. I don't understand what you gain from that.
Well, and
you can call a woman a whore, you can call her a slut, you can call her whatever. But let me put it in straight Marine Corps fashion. If she's a fucking Marine. It doesn't matter if she's a slut, wook, or fuck you want to call her. Right?
Right.
She's still a Marine. Dumbass shit that you send the dick pics, all kinds of other dumbass shit, and the fucking
you're
stuff that you do with pretending.
You're breaking
stuff
up a little
you do
bit.
with like pretend. I can't help that. I'm sorry.
I love your body.
Fuck am I supposed to do about it? Is that better now?
Yes.
All right. So, as I'm going on that rant,
I didn't want it to be ruined.
It's just none of it matters, frankly. Now, that doesn't mean that because she's taking pictures and stuff, if she's a Marine, that shit's against the UCMJ. I'm not saying that she's not to blame here. Okay. There are regulations against that as well. Am I correct, Michael?
To an extent, yes.
To an extent, yes. So I think what this is men are trying to take back this thing with some men, certain men are trying to express that they're trying to deflect because they're fucked up. They're trying to deflect. And you know what? Yes, there is responsibility on all sides in some of these, but not all of them. Well, so just knock it off.
Right. See, I look at it from a different angle because it's not so much the, again, I don't necessarily look at the picture sharing in the same light. Like, I almost find that to be innocent in comparison to what is happening out in the real world hands-on. And I would like to look and analyze the behavior where I'm like, that's the pattern.
Yes. And
Where
part
they're-
of the issue with that, Mike, is that a lot of that stuff hasn't been talked about. I don't think anyone wants to go there.
Well,
We're going to go there, but not today.
Right. And that's the thing, is we're going to have on fellow Marines, probably corpsmen. We're going to talk about this and get really deep down and dirty. We want to preface some of the conversation because, you know, like, folks, the thing is you've got pic sharing, and then you've got, they're putting names, addresses. This allows you to go and commit an act. This allows you, this goes past pretty face on the internet and goes straight to, this is a home address, and if I want to, I can go and attack this person. Those are two totally different things. So, like, one is gathering intel on what would be prey, and then going and attacking that prey, which is just completely uncalled for. And if you're a Marine who's going against another Marine, you know, again, it's just one of those things. But it's,
well, I mean, and also 38 states in the United States have also condemned the pic sharing part.
right.
If you can show that it's revenge porn,
Right.
then in some states it's a felony. So,
well, and right. So, all right. So here's the thing, though, and this is what I kind of got to get it off my chest. I haven't shared. Don't get me wrong. When I got a divorce, right, my first one, it was like, fuck, man. It was like climb into a bottle, burn all of her shit. You know, of course, once it was mine, I think they got to leave their shit at your house for like 2 years or whatever. Burned all of their shit, sold whatever else I could, all of this other stuff. Like, all of the terrible shit that comes along with the, you know, divorce and custody battles and all of that other stuff. I didn't share her stuff on the internet. You know what I mean? Like, I was just kind of viewed that as an act of cowardice. Plus, on top of it, I was like, I looked at it like a failure. I thought if I did share pics, you know, it's like, oh, well, no, that poor bastard couldn't.
See, here's part of the thing with that
keep
too,
his
and
life.
this is something that I want people to really look at, is that sometimes your actions have consequences that reverberate way outside of your little fucking realm and your little angry tantrum that you're throwing right now. Okay.
Yeah.
If you post that, I mean, dude, think about down the road. Think about your kids. If you have kids, you had kids with this woman.
Right.
You're not going to drop pics on the internet. I mean, just imagine your son having to deal with that shit down the road, because guess what? It's there now. It's not going away. Imagine if that was your daughter. Imagine if that was your mom. Imagine if that was your sister. That, in its essence, is the basis of this entire thing. Do unto you, or do unto others as you would want done to you. It's a basic fucking premise, folks. Jesus, not everyone's perfect. I get it. But when I go on these posts and I look, and I won't become, I'm flabbergasted at the amount of people that just, I don't know if they're doing it because this is what they really believe, or if they're doing it just to be trolls and stir shit up and be like, well, she shouldn't have taken the fucking pictures. Well, that's true, but that should go unsaid as well. I mean, we know she shouldn't take the pictures. You should teach your daughters to not take the pictures, or don't send them to assholes.
Some of those accounts. Oh, sorry.
You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just saying that stuff is, and see, some of those, a lot, actually quite a few of those pics and videos were taken unbeknownst to the people involved. So, you know,
right.
Oh, well, that's different.
Right.
Well, that's different.
Well, then,
really?
And some of these accounts where they're like stirring it up and stuff, they're also ISIS accounts. That's the other thing, is some of those accounts are just, you know, they're fake fraudulent accounts that are being ran by foreign elements in order to stir this up and create divisions. You know, that's one of the reasons why And the call it, I mean, it's not a debate, but the discussion of the topic of rape culture, we're going to leave for another conversation. What I would like to talk about now, this is the conversation that I wanted to get into, right? And we'll have our topics for other times. I don't think that people understand that this A, tears away at the fabric of our organization. B, it
meaning the Marine Corps.
Meaning the Marine Corps. Because now you have a division, right, amongst the ranks and so on. And so it's tearing away. People are talking about that. You can't, one action doesn't determine, a Marine's entire life or whether or not the title can be taken away and all of these other different things. If you act predatory against another Marine, you can't possibly rate that shit any longer. You can't. You've raped yourself out of the title, right? And again, maybe it's a conversation for another time. But the way that I look at all of these different actions that are taking place that are out there right now, and it's not just in the Marine Corps, it's military-wide, there's going to be a kind of come to Jesus, so to speak, where we're going to go, listen, we don't fucking take that shit around here. Okay, so we're either going to reform the UCMJ, and it's going to be more than article, I believe it's 124, right? To where it's like, you can't do that. Or else, fucking think about it. Everybody E4 and below is going to have to give up their cell phone or some shit. I mean, I'm not trying to give anybody any ideas, but it's ridiculous at what the knee-jerk reaction is.
So I hear what you're saying, and I agree with some of it. Okay. I guess what we can cover in this episode which is what's the root of all of this. And in you and I have had this conversation offline a few times already. And my personal opinion, because that's what it is, it's an opinion. I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that agree, though, is that the core has changed, and you can use whatever you want, old core versus new core or whatever. But I can tell you from what I've seen and guys that I've talked to, one of the most tantamount things within the Marine Corps is esprit de corps, right?
Absolutely.
And it does not exist the same as it did when I was in. It just doesn't. The God Country Corps moniker doesn't, up with a lot of these fucking people, does not reign true. Why is that? Why? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so when people line up their priorities as they're serving, I can tell you for sure it was God Country Corps, right?
Right.
Now, this is not, and I want to but I want to give my disclaimer notice. I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I have things that I've done in my life that I am thoroughly ashamed of. I've had points in my service where I let my brothers down. You know what I mean? Because of why? I don't know. Was it because of a girl? Was it because of just a hesitation on my part? But I will thoroughly admit my failings as a man and as a Marine. Okay?
Right.
And I'll do it right here to the fucking world with, and anyone listening that was there would understand, an instance where a buddy of mine got punched by a guy and I failed to back him up.
Well, and this is right.
Yeah. So I'm saying
this is always the tug of war
failing.
Inside of all of us. This is always it.
Right. I am not without failing. I've fallen asleep on duty. I got hit with the freaking page 11 because of it.
Right.
And NJP. I will fully admit that shit. Okay. So in turn, I am not without failings, but I've also taken corrective action to fix it in my life. Now, I'm still not perfect. That doesn't make me perfect, but it's still, I'm just saying. So if people want to come at me with the holier than thou thing, that's not what I'm saying. And I'm not being hypocritical.
Right.
Period. So I'm telling you that this is a deeper thing. It's because there's certain elements of folks that have been allowed into the Corps because of time of war, because we needed bodies, and the standards slipped. I think this is a direct result of that. And then on top of that, you get this harbored, well, if they can do it, then I should be able to. So it's a plague. It's as you said earlier, Mike, it is a disease that once it permeates into a organization can take down the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then once you get guys like that, right, that this is okay to them, and the next thing you know, they're a company gunny.
Right.
Or they're a squad leader, or they're a first sergeant. Are you fucking kidding me? Then the next thing you know, they're a sergeant major. Or maybe they're a lieutenant colonel as a battalion commander, and that shit's acceptable. There you go. I'm just saying.
Well, and I saw it. I was the senior Marines to some of the baby NCOs. And what I mean by that is there was like, you know, Obama did the whole surge thing. He signed that in. We boosted all of our ranks. And so we had a shit ton of boots, and it looked like we could pretty much promote anybody, but that it doesn't matter how many senior lance corporals you have, kind of a thing. It's kind of like TO is TO. But then before you know it, you've got platoons that have like 6 sergeants in it. You know,
which is crazy.
Like 5, 6 corporals. Like,
what
the fuck are we even doing here?
Right, because why though? Is it because it's almost like it's the way I always looked at specialist within the Army.
Right.
E4 in the Army is a gimme rank. Right. So when you read the SOPs of the Marine Corps and you say that most of the time a team leader is a corporal, right?
Right. Yeah,
which
right.
means they had to go through all kinds of shit. Basically, a corporal within the Marine Corps is equivalent to a sergeant in the Army. And anyone can debate me on that, and I will show them why. So,
yeah,
it's not a gimme rank, but it's kind of become that way.
Right.
Especially when you've got guys at war who aren't able to come back and go through the training, go through the tradition, go through this thing that the Marines have done for 200 plus years to make somebody a corporal or to make somebody a sergeant.
Right. Well,
it's become lax because I've never been able to go to the corporal's course because I've been deployed. How many times you heard that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, come on. So
I passed rate. Dude, I never went through corporal's course. I never went through sergeant's course. I never did any of that shit.
Right. So
I just didn't.
But there's certain things. Yeah, I'm just
right.
saying.
You learn certain things, and you're around
certain things,
and you're around co-ed.
Plus,
and you figure out the different areas of the Marine Corps. Right.
Correct.
They're
and it also
reinforces
certain behaviors.
Right.
Because you get indoctrinated into the God Country Corps.
Right. No, and I totally get that, but I think one of the biggest things that and okay, so again, it's esprit de corps, and they want to tear away, they, meaning the enemy, meaning ISIS, commenting on threads that involve pic sharing and rape culture and everything else. They would like to tear away at the fabric, at the esprit de corps of our corps. I'm going to tell you right now, that ain't going to fucking happen.
But see, also, I look at it as a possible way to just erode away at the current
correct
administration.
Well, that's the whole idea of caliphate. That's the whole point.
You have like guys like General Mattis.
Oh,
yeah. And this is very conspiratorial, but it's the same type of thing. You have guys like General Mattis, General Kelly, guys like that are in charge now. And at the end of the day, it also General Mattis, perception's reality. So General Mattis, above all, now he's Sec Def, but other than that, he's a Marine, and he always will be, right?
Right, of course.
You erode away at credibility when things like this happen. It's an innate response psychologically that people have.
Yeah. Well, then that's something where we don't allow it to happen. It's just that simple. I mean, you know,
Well,
you can.
unfortunately, though, the damage is done with, and I'm not saying with other Marines. I'm saying the damage is done with the public.
Oh yeah, but I mean that's something where, in my opinion, that's easily repairable. I mean,
Well, yes,
I hear
yes, but no. Yes, but no.
yeah, but
Yes,
I
yes,
hear
it
the
can be
damage is
repairable.
done. The damage was done at tailgate. The damage was done when we were doing code reds. That no, fuck that. The
I
United
understand that,
States
but
of America
does
will
that
always
shit-
need us.
But at the end of the day, does that shit still live within the psyches of certain people within this country?
Sure,
Of course.
absolutely, it does. Yeah,
So
but I
if
think
it doesn't have to, I'm just saying, if it doesn't have to happen, it shouldn't happen.
well,
This
get
is
that.
one of those things that shouldn't happen.
I get that, but also what I mean though is you got to look at it. In my opinion, I'm not worried about what the public has to say. What I'm worried about is overseas, and I'm worried about some douchebag who decides to stir this up. Yes, I get it, public opinion. What I'm worried about now is some douchebag overseas, right, highlights Marines in such a way to where we don't hit our baseline recruiting. We don't get the high quality. You know, that's what I'm worried about. You look at General
Yeah, of
Mattis.
course.
General Mattis is
It
a
all
high
goes
quality guy.
together.
You look at right, and I know that it does, but I'm talking about, in my opinion, it does not deter or it does not diminish the credibility of General Mattis. The fact that this went on, it
No, all right.
diminishes
So
the credibility of the Corps, and for us to be able to recruit high
well,
quality
that's what I just
candidates.
said. That's what I
Right.
said. That's
Right.
what I said. I'm not saying it discredits General Mattis. That's not what I said at all.
Right.
What I said is it discredits the Corps. So then in turn, somebody like General Mattis will be questioned because he's a fucking Marine. So in essence, if you carry that moniker Marine, people will instantly think, even if it's a split second, this is where it comes into being. A split second of, oh my God, he's a Marine. What about that sex scandal? It could be instantaneous and people could do it without even knowing that they do it. What I'm saying is that it has nothing to do with General Mattis himself. It's
Right.
exactly the point that you're making. It's exactly that point.
Right. Yeah. It's
Is
the
that
veneer.
Because it puts a chink in the army of the Marine Corps,
Right.
period.
Right. Well, and the other way that I look at this also that people are not paying attention to. What if somebody, let's say for instance, Captain, right? I'm gonna give myself a promotion here. Let's say for instance, Captain Penny, right, is in charge of S2. S2 is Intel, right? Am I wrong? S2 is Intel? I think S2 is Intel.
Yes.
All right. So let's say for
S2 is
instance,
Intel.
I'm in S2 and I'm a captain and I'm on the remain behind element and I get some guy who comes up to me. Let's just say, you know, I'm out at a bar and I get some guy who comes up to me and he goes, "Hey man, I know that you're the intel officer for this battalion, blah, blah, blah. You're going to give me all of the battalion AO maps." Like, fuck you, buddy. Who the fuck are you? Like, what are you talking about? Here's all the shit that you've been doing on the internet. I see it. I'm going to tell your wife. I'm going to show this to all of your friends. I'm going to show your battalion commander. I'm going to show everybody. I'm just going to shame you.
Extortion.
Blackmail. Right. Extortion, because it's blackmail with value added onto it. So yeah, exactly. Correct. You know, so what is that a tough sell? Is that a tough scenario to believe?
No, and that's one of the biggest things that you and I have talked about. This whole leading up to all this is that it's just piss poor OPSEC.
Right. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, let me flip it and make myself one of these guys that think this is okay. Because I like to look at things from all angles. That's what I do. So I'm a guy who thinks this is okay. I'm Terminal Lance Corporal fucking James, right?
Yeah.
And this behavior is okay because I'm just an angry fucking vet. You know, whatever. So I'm looking at all this stuff. And what I mean by OPSEC in this case is, dude, piss poor OPSEC sharing it with a fucking group that has 30,000 members.
Right.
Who can keep something quiet like that?
It's never gonna
If you were half a fucking Marine, you would never do that because you're like, oh man, this is just way too big. There's way too many people. Everything would be done privately, not in a secret Facebook group that's 30,000 members. Are you insane?
Right.
At the very most, it should have like 2,000. I'm not trying to tell people how to be complete scallywags, But again, it's the caliber of folks that we're looking at that put this out there. They think it's okay that it's actual like public, like it's okay to be out there in the public.
Right. And
like anybody with any, no, hey, dude, what you're doing is illegal in 38 states.
Right.
You think that their brain would be wired just enough to be like, ooh, maybe I should tread lightly here and then have a little operational security behind what I'm doing.
Right.
But they don't think that way. So what does that tell you about?
Thing. Well, exactly.
Those are the people that'll get caught. The people going to get caught are those idiots.
Exactly.
Okay. But how many people are behind it that aren't that stupid? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, but
so that's what I'm saying.
Exactly it. In the world of the screenshot. Like Snapchat, get the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? I can archive whatever I want. It's just screenshots, man.
That's it.
On my Android phone while I'm sitting on the shitter, I can screenshot whatever conversation anywhere. It doesn't matter. Oh, and then what? I guess it's I guess that I went against your privacy for screenshotting inside of a private or a closed group. Yeah, right. Try using that one against some motherfucker who comes out trying to extort you. Well, that's against my privacy. Dude, get fucked. Like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, get fucked. You can't. At that point, they're like, yeah, whatever.
Well, then you can't honestly be dumb enough to say, and I'm not dumb enough to think that our closed group on the Cigars and Sea Stories listener group, I understand that what we put on there is not going to be private. I totally understand that. It's a closed group because you got to listen to our show. We're adding our friends into it and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. And if you're listening to this and you want to be a member of our closed group, by all means, Cigars and Sea Stories listener group.
Shameless product placement.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and come be part of the conversation. Quick little side note. Did you see all of the businesses that posted on that recent thread?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
It's
and they're
awesome.
still posting as of this morning.
God,
so all of them are they're all veteran owned.
Fucking love you,
people.
Or
some of them are veteran spouses as well, which might as well be.
Oh, yeah. Or there's civilians who
so
are
it's
supporting.
Badass.
Yeah. Well, there are a couple of companies that are in there that are civilian owned and they're supporting elements of the veteran entrepreneurship sphere and all of this.
Yeah, we've got everything from nonprofits to everything. I mean, dude, I was looking at the one guy and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't know him personally, but he's an artist and his art medium is glass. Holy shit, bro. Some of the things that this dude makes with glass are fucking amazing.
See, that's what I'm saying, man. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Well, and I bring up our audience base also because if you're a listener, like Cigars and Sea Stories, we're a cigar lounge type atmosphere. I mean, typically we're not on here, trying to spray hate and discontent and, share our sexual exploits. That's not really our bag.
And you've never heard that in 170 plus episodes. That's not the shit we talk about because you know what? Frankly, it's none of your fucking business.
Right. Go fuck yourself.
Now, I mean, it's one of those things like, yeah, maybe we'll talk about it even in private, but I don't even go there. Mm-mm. Maybe I did when I was younger.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to sit there and talk about my wife like that.
No.
And you know what? So there's another point. I know guys that do. Really? Dude.
About your own wife?
What kind of respect do you have for your own wife?
Not doing
or your
that.
girlfriend?
I'm not doing that.
Damn, bro. That's kind of fucked. I'm just saying. That's kind of
really fucked up.
Really fucked up.
I know
and
that sounds a little
basically it's
judgmental,
a complete lack of fucking respect is what that is.
Yeah, I would like to say that we are gentlemanly with a tinge of I just really don't give a fuck. I think that's the killer in me. It's kind of,
you have to draw the line somewhere,
right? We're much more of a Hemingway crowd over here. If we really were the Hemingway,
that's a good way to put it.
Dude, I'm telling you right now, that's Ryan Schmeckatelli would appreciate that.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure Ryan Schmeckatelli not a rapist. I'm going out on a limb.
All right, guys, we're back after some technical difficulties. Sorry about that, and we left off talking about Smedley Butler.
Yeah. Well, and Smedley Butler, who, by the way, had a tattoo from throat all the way down to waist of an eagle, globe, and anchor, Marine through and through, nothing but skinning would remove it. That is so hardcore. I'm pretty sure he would enjoy the conversations that we're having here on Cigars and Sea Stories, and also condemn those despicable bastards who would prey upon our own kind. So I'm just going to throw that one out there.
Right.
Yeah. Just kind of a matter of opinion. I'm pretty sure that John Basilone, who married a fellow Marine, who married a woman Marine, John Basilone, married another Marine. I'm pretty sure he would condemn this behavior in some regard. I just need to throw that out there.
Right.
Just a little bit of history.
Just a little bit of history. And see, that's the point, too. I wonder how much of this history some of these guys know or remember.
Right. Pretty sure Dan Daly, who earned 2 Medals of Honor 17 years apart on separate continents, one as a PFC, the other as a gunnery sergeant, retired as a sergeant major. They offered him battlefield commissions 2 or 3 times. He said, why would I want to be just another officer when I could be an outstanding sergeant? Yeah.
People can fucking label us as moto or whatever the hell you want. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I'm brainwashed. At the end of the day, done. Whatever. Yeah, I'm a shill and I'm brainwashed. Go fuck yourself.
You're well within range.
But I still love you. Still love you. Jesus,
Well, that's the thing about, I want the narrative to go back to, like, Marines, you guys are all just fucking bloodthirsty killers. Like, yes, we are. Yes, we are. Thank you. Yes, this is a warrior culture. You are correct. Like, yep, we're on your side. It's totally cool. Go hump a tree. I'm totally fine with that. That's okay.
I mean, do guys that are in the Marine Corps nowadays, do they even know that there's a commandant's reading list?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, though?
Yes.
Do they even read it? I wonder.
Well,
I mean, you should at least listen to some of those books on Audible. I mean, if you're really that...
Yeah, I mean, I don't fucking whether or not other Marines read it. That wasn't something that we necessarily stress 100% of the time.
But you know what I'm saying? It just gives you a background. It gives you a little bit of understanding of what came before you.
Right. Well, and you got to understand, man, like, I stood maybe 2 or 3 uniform inspections the whole time I was in the Fleet Marine Force.
Right.
I maybe was questioned on Marine Corps knowledge. I mean, like, maybe 3 or 4 times in my FMF time. I'm
talking beyond that, though. I'm talking about just what, like a war, like a lot of people consider themselves intelligent, and that's true. It's not book smart necessarily, but you still have to know what came before you, and because if you don't know what came before you, you're doomed to repeat it.
Right.
So this is a lesson.
You need to be worldly also, just in the standpoint of you've got to know thine enemy. So why wouldn't you want to understand the cultures of all of these different folks?
How many guys deployed and have no idea why, like deployed to Iraq?
Yeah.
And have no idea why the most insane insult that you can give to somebody is to like show them the bottom of your shoe or the bottom of your foot and like understand those customs.
Oh, yeah.
And those things are important. I'm just saying, like, what an insult that was when that one reporter threw his shoes at President Bush.
Yeah.
You remember that?
That's an insult.
That's an insult. I'm just saying, but a lot of people don't understand why. Not only is it just, dude, you're throwing shoes at a dude, but why is that such an insult in their culture?
Yeah. Well, then, right. So to take your shoe off and throw it at somebody in their culture is a huge, massive fucking insult. Don't get me wrong. But I thought it was funny, the bottoms of the feet thing, because that was something that we were all worried about. If we sit cross-legged, blah, 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 and everybody was worried about this shit and stuff. And what we figured out was, so for Iraqis, the biggest insult that I figured out, at least in Ramadi, is you take your 2 fingers like you're going to draw a bow and put your thumb in between them and then go and just kind of... like, get out of here, you fucking filthy vermin, like, you disgusting little hood rat. And they're no better than the dogs, let's say, for instance, which Iraqi dogs are like giant fucking rats. I mean, just kill them all. Kind of a thing. Don't even bother. We got to kill the whole fucking herd, man. Tell me, another episode. Dogs, oh my God.
Yeah.
Killed so many fucking dogs, and they're all rabid, blah, blah, blah. But it's like these cultural things, like the insults, the back and forth, and all of this other stuff. When I studied that shit, it made me fucking sick. Like I would study it knowing that the enemy came from that culture, not necessarily that all of the people in the entire culture just made me ill, but it was like I did not necessarily want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah,
it's almost it's like studying a dark character or something else like that. Like you don't want to absorb that shit, but you want to understand the mentality that the enemy is in because they oppose you just as vehemently as you oppose them. And better understanding their culture makes it easier to kill them.
Right.
So
let's kind of wrap this up. No, I'm just saying. We'll kind of wrap it up. And I want to revisit this with like a guest or two to have on. And,
Well, right.
Yeah. And so I'd like to revisit it soon. So we got to figure out who the hell we want to have on.
Well, and that's one of the reasons why we needed to do this episode is because we condemn these actions. Cigars and Sea Stories, we offer you a platform to condemn the actions as well. And we're not necessarily saying like, hey, everybody's got to come on here and talk shit. What we would like to have is a reasonable discussion about solutions.
A civil discourse.
Right. Well, exactly. And we need to talk about what can we do to potentially mitigate this from happening. What can we do as a solution to put the Marine Corps with that gleaming reputation that it has, those gentlemen who raised the flag on Iwo, how do we get back to that as far as the reputation that we have? And we wanted to be able to come flat out and say, like, I think you and I look at this from different angles. Of course, agree upon it, but we approach it from different angles.
So because I have a complete, you and I do. We agree in the end.
Yeah.
But I think some of the root cause, I think we might look at differently. I have my theories and opinions that I've kind of alluded to and brought up on this broadcast, but my shit gets deep. I've analyzed the shit out of this. So right. I've got some serious insight and opinion that I want to put out there. So
yeah. So this is something where we're going to be talking with some fellow Marines, probably have Doc on the show and what have you, and sit down and discuss this further. We're not looking to go down this huge, long diatribe by any means, but it's something where Cigars and Sea Stories is above that. And I mean that quite literally, and you can call me, I don't know.
You're an elitist scumbag, fuck.
Right. You're goddamn straight. I am an elitist. I am an elite warrior. I am in a class all our own, right? That is part of what we do as Marines. This is bullshit. And so I'm an elitist when it comes to that type of filthy behavior and mentality. Like, it has no place here. And you belong in the gutter, not in the core. And so that's how strongly I feel about it. I would love to have folks, fellow professionals, come on and discuss this with us. We're going to be talking to a few guys on the back end. We've already aligned the troops around this in a few different ways. We're done, and we need action. We need reform. In my opinion, we need a variety of different things, and that's what we'll be talking about in a future episode. So what are the actions that we can do, and what are the
solutions to the root causes of these problems?
Yeah.
There you go.
And getting together and being like, this is how we empower. Mm-hmm. Because it's, in my opinion, it's as simple as at the unit level, we all say we condemn those types of actions. And if anybody within our unit does those actions, You know, whether that's, fuck, man, we never saw you doing this. You know, it was Fred, the guy next door. We're so buddy. We're always on first name basis. Like, sorry, dude.
Yeah.
You know, you
and for me, I really want to address the hypocrisy.
Yes.
Which is a big problem. So, at least not just necessarily the hypocrisy, it's the tainted view of hypocrisy, and how one has nothing to do with the other. But we'll get into that in a later episode.
Nice. Yep, and bring those sea stories every single time we're talking about our time in service. I mean, you can really tell, and I think that it's fantastic the way that Bennett, you talk about your time in service and the way that you feel about it. And this has been, I mean, it's been a decade and a half, 20 years.
Well, I've been out of the Corps for 21 years.
There you go. And I've been out of the Corps for 5 years. And this is something where it's like some people can't figure out why we have a hang around mentality on this still, to whatever extent. And it's like, we still remember our actions as if it were just yesterday. And anybody who's a film marine understands that.
For the most part.
But yeah, man.
Subscribe, rate, and review the podcast.
There you go. You can find us on, iTunes, Stitcher, all over Android, all over the place. So go ahead and hit us up wherever you enjoy sharing sea stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Hell yeah, man.
Shit's no joke.
Well, all right. Well, cool, brother. I'm looking forward to a future conversation on this. Thank you all for listening. And on that note, we cue the music.
Our flag unfurled to every breeze, from dawn to setting.